Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Oldson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. Today we're revisiting one of my favorite topics, one I honestly think about every single week in my practice. We're talking about how you set your weight loss goal and a new way to achieve it. And we'll talk about why the way most people do it is quietly sabotaging them before they even get started. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How hard can it be to set a goal? You might also be thinking, I know that once I set my weight loss goal, visualizing achieving it will help me get there. But stay with me because I've got two main concepts for you today. First of all, the difference between a goal that moves you forward and a goal that keeps you stuck is something I watch play out in real time with my patients. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'll also be giving you a really cool approach to achieving your vision once you set the right kind of goal. Let me start with a scenario that I bet is going to sound familiar. Imagine you're scrolling through photos from several years ago, maybe even decades ago, photos from a vacation or a family event, and you land on one where you love how you look. You feel a little pang and you find yourself thinking, that's my number. That's the weight I want to get back to. Maybe it's the weight from before a pregnancy, before a particularly stressful time in your life, or before a busy stage of your career caught up with you. There's nothing wrong with that desire to return to a previous size and to turn your attention to the number on the scale or to the size of your clothes. That longing is real and completely normal. But here's where things go sideways. That number becomes the finish line, the measuring stick, and somehow the judge and jury of your entire effort. Every time you step on the scale and see anything other than that number, you feel like you've failed, even if you've been doing genuinely good work to create some new healthy habits. I see this pattern often in people who are making real meaningful progress, but because the scale isn't reflecting their dream number fast enough, they conclude that something is wrong with them, that they're broken, that this will never work for them, or that they just haven't found the right diet. Today, I want to offer you a completely different framework to think about where you're headed and an effective way to get there. Dr. Gabriele Oettingen, a psychologist at New York University and the University of Hamburg in Germany, has spent decades studying motivation and goal achievement. Some of her work includes research on weight loss programs, and I found something she studied that stopped me in my tracks the first time I read it. The more positively people fantasized or dreamed about their success, the less well they did, meaning they lost less weight. Let that sink in for a moment. Dreaming vividly about your goal weight is not just neutral, it may actually work against you. Her research suggests that the good feelings caused by simply dreaming lead straight to lethargy, which is counterintuitive for me. Your brain gets a little preview of the reward and unexpectedly loses some of the drive to actually do the work to get there. Now, I'm not saying don't have a vision for yourself. A vision is important, but there's a big difference between a vision and a fixation on a number. Dreaming about hitting a specific number on the scale or a shirt size may actually block your success. Here's why using the number on the scale as a marker of your progress is wildly unreliable. Your weight can fluctuate 2, 3, even 5 pounds in a single day based on hydration, sodium levels, hormones, stress, sleep, and the timing of your last meal, even whether or not you're constipated, sorry to say. None of those fluctuations tell you anything meaningful about whether your behavioral changes are working for weight loss. But if you're checking the scale every morning and treating the number as a report card on your worth and your effort, those meaningless fluctuations start to feel like verdicts. There's a research angle here that I find compelling. A study published in a peer-reviewed journal looked at what type of goal focus was associated with better weight loss outcomes in overweight women. And the finding was clear. Focusing on the process, meaning dietary behaviors, rather than on the outcome of dieting, was associated with more successful goal pursuit and actual weight loss. They also found that when women were focused primarily on the outcome, meaning the number on the scale, they were more likely to experience what researchers call disinhibition after a lapse. Disinhibition after a lapse is what happens when one bad day sends everything off the rails. That might sound familiar. A lot of people get off track and just say F it, which for the sake of this Rated G podcast means forget it. One bad day leading to people throwing in the towel is a super common problem. And of course, I don't like to hear people categorize their days or themselves as being bad, but that's an entirely different conversation. You know what I'm saying. One off day isn't a disaster, but try telling that to some people. It can take a long time to reset if you have disinhibition after a lapse, as many people do when they get overly focused on the scale. Process focus, meaning paying more attention to the behaviors you're practicing, protects you from that all or nothing spiral. Outcome focus, meaning paying attention only to the number on the scale, makes you more vulnerable to feeling defeated and giving up. So what does process focus actually look like in practice? Let's talk about that. Instead of thinking, I want to lose 35 pounds, what if your goal was, I'm going to add a palm-sized portion of protein to every lunch I eat this month? Or maybe, I'm going to include either a fruit or a vegetable with every single meal at least 5 days per week. Those are goals you have complete control over. You decide whether it happens and the steps you'll take to achieve that goal. The scale doesn't get involved in this at all, though intuitively you know that eating healthier will eventually show up on the scale. Or let's say you're someone who's been meaning to get better sleep because you know intellectually that poor sleep is wrecking your cortisol levels and driving you toward the vending machines at work in the afternoons. Your behavioral goal might be, I'm going to get off my phone by 10 p.m. on weeknights. That's it. That's the whole goal. It's specific, it's doable, and it's entirely within your power. Most importantly, working on this kind of goal will eventually impact your weight without having to give the scale much attention at all. Let's be clear about something. This is not about lowering your standards or giving up on the idea of losing weight. The research actually tells an interesting story here. Intrinsic goals, like improving your health, are more closely related to the fulfillment of psychological needs, whereas extrinsic goals, like improving your appearance, are not essential to creating a feeling of well-being. So intrinsic goals are more beneficial for both our long-term results and our overall well-being. What this means for you is that the why behind your goal matters as much as the goal itself. If you're trying to lose weight so you can keep up with your kids, so you can come off a medication, or so you can feel strong and energized into your 60s and 70s, those are intrinsic motivators. They'll sustain you through the slow weeks and the weight loss plateaus. If your primary motivator is fitting into a dress for a specific event, that's a short-term extrinsic driver. And once the event passes, the motivation tends to evaporate with it, and your weight will creep back up. Before I introduce you to a fantastic concept called WOOP, which I love, let's pause for a quick word from our sponsor. Just kidding, it's still me, Dr. Lisa Oldson, physician and founder of Smart Weight Loss Coaching. If you've been considering the role of weight loss medications in your weight loss journey, you need a smart medical team with the experience to help. For those of you living in Illinois, I hope you'll consider working with us. We've just brought on a fantastic physician assistant with over 20 years of experience, and she's taking new clients. Reach out to us at team@smartweightlosscoaching.com to make an appointment or to learn more. And we're back. Let me introduce you to a concept that I've been incorporating more and more into my thinking, and it comes from Dr. Oettingen's work. It's called WOOP, WOOP. It stands for wish, outcome, obstacle, and plan. Based on 20 years of research, WOOP presents a unique and perhaps surprising idea. The obstacles that we think most impede us from fulfilling our wishes can actually help us to reach them. Here's how it works in the context of weight loss. First of all, you're already smart enough to stop focusing on the number on the scale for your goal. Your wish might be to cook at home 5 nights a week instead of ordering out, because you know that behavior will eventually show up on this scale. Your outcome is what that would feel like: more energy, more money saved, more control over what you're eating, maybe even more time connecting with your partner while you cook and eat your homemade dinner together. So the W is the wish, in this case to cook at home. The first O is the outcome, meaning what that would feel like. The next O is your obstacle, and this is the key step. When we identify the obstacle, we're looking for the internal barrier. Not I'm too busy, which is an external circumstance, but why you tell yourself you're too busy. Maybe it's that you come home from work feeling emotionally depleted and decision fatigue hits you hard by 6 p.m. Lastly, the P. Your plan is the if-then strategy. If I get home and I feel too depleted to think about cooking, then I'll pull from the 2 or 3 very simple meals I've already decided on and shopped for last weekend. You've identified the thought that might block the action you want to take, in this case making dinner, and you've planned how you'll handle that obstacle when it bubbles up. That little obstacle and plan piece is what transforms a wish into an action. And it's what's missing from a straight number on the scale goal. Lose 30 pounds has no plan built into it. It has no obstacle identified. It just sits there waiting to disappoint you. Now, the other thing I want to address today, because I hear this all the time, is the deadline goal. The reunion, the vacation, the wedding, any date you've circled in your mental calendar as a weight loss deadline. I'm not here to tell you that event-driven motivation is useless. It gets people in my door, and that's genuinely valuable. But what I want you to think about is this. What happens after the event? If the wedding was the finish line and you crossed it, there's nothing pulling you forward anymore. The behavioral changes never had a chance to become habits because they were always a means to a very specific end, and they have an expiration date. What I want for you is a different relationship with your goals entirely. One where the behaviors become the goal, and the weight loss is what happens as a pleasant side effect of living differently. When you stop fighting yourself for every pound and start celebrating the Tuesday night you cooked instead of ordering in, the morning walk you took even though you didn't feel like it, the sugary coffee drink you quietly stopped having, those are the real victories. Write them down in your notebook because these things are the evidence that you're changing, and it's incredibly helpful to pause and recognize these wins. Here's an exercise I want to leave you with today. Think about one behavior that if you did it consistently for the next 4 weeks, you would be proud of. Just one, not a diet overhaul, not a new gym membership, and a meal prep marathon, just one behavior. Make it specific. What it is, when you'll do it, and what you'll do when your obstacle shows up. Because your obstacle will show up, of course. And here's the mindset piece you can work on to take your power back from the scale. The scale will eventually catch up to your effort. It always does when the healthy behaviors are stacking up, but it may not be as fast as you're expecting. The scale is not the judge of whether or not you're making progress. You are the one who decides if there's something to be proud of here. You are the one who knows if you're taking actions and working on behaviors in a way that will eventually lead to success. Okay, friends, it's time to set your NBA for today, your next best action. Go ahead and choose one behavioral goal. Not a number on the scale, but rather a goal that will likely lead to a lower number on the scale over time, eventually. Now write it down and be sure to celebrate when you're doing well with your behavior. Then work on your plan for when life or some obstacle gets in the way. Think through in advance what you'll make it mean when you hit that obstacle, and make your plan to work your way around it regardless of what the scale says. I'm rooting for you over here because I know you can make the research on WOOP work for you. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.